Welcome. In front of me I have the ZTE Blade 34, and today I'll go over unboxing along with a quick look at the device itself. So I just want to quickly make sure that I am looking at the correct one. So this is right now the cheapest device that I have ever seen that is actually running. I think that would be the best way to describe it. So this is about $60 to $70 phone. Right now where I'm seeing this on official Nubia website, it's on sale for 250 PLN, which equates to about $63. That includes tax already. So this is, like I said, at the moment the cheapest phone I have ever actually seen. Now getting into the box, experience obviously kind of cheapish, which you would expect. It's only 65 bucks. So let's peel that off. Yoink. There we go. Now we get a Type-C to Type-A charging cable, some ejectable paperwork, and a most likely world's crappiest charger that actually comes included with the device, but this is only 5 watts, which means that you can plug it into any USB port, like on your computer for instance, or laptop, and this will deliver the same amount of power. So yeah, this is absolutely kind of crappy charger. Now, looking at the device, honestly doesn't look that bad for what it costs. We have only one camera at the back, which looks like it's something like a 5 megapixel, but I'm just guessing. Let's see. Specificacja. There we go. Oh boy, they have an absolutely massive list of info for basically to make it look like it's bloated, but this is just basically padding. Now let's see if I can actually find camera in here, which seems to be annoying right now. I genuinely don't see the camera. Oh, there we go. So the back is an 8 megapixel and the front is a 5 megapixel. Now ZTE doesn't really mention anything outside of that, so that's where I'm gonna keep it at. Obviously you're not getting that phone because of its superb camera setup, so let's not kid ourselves, these photos here will be barely serviceable. Now, when it comes down to the build quality, it's all plastic, as you would most likely expect. We have a SIM/SD tray on the left side. At the top we have absolutely nothing. On the right side we have our volume rockers and a power button, and at the bottom Type-C, headphone jack, and speakers. Now when it comes to the display, this is a 6.6 inch display with a 720 by 1612 pixel resolution. And yeah, the resolution is again subpar, but it's a cheapest phone I have ever held in my hand that is running Android, and this is apparently running Android T Go 13.0, which is a cut down version of Android, like a very crappy one. The start of it looks pretty normal to me, so I'm just gonna go through the setup and see how that looks like once I finish it up. But yeah, this is basically going to be a cut down version of it, as this device only has 2 gigabytes of RAM. Now, on the box, we have a 64 gigs of storage and bullshit 6 gigs of RAM. But if you look closely, it's 2 plus 4. Now, my math might not be great, but 2 gigabytes of RAM plus 4 gigabytes of storage doesn't equate to 6 gigabytes of RAM. It still equates to 2 gigabytes of RAM. And for that were yoinked from 64 gigs of storage. So in basically the best way to describe this, you have 6 gigabytes of shit. That's probably the closest way I can equate it, and 60 gigabytes of storage, because it's trying to convert storage into RAM. It's not pulling it out of nowhere. This isn't download more RAM. So yeah, I genuinely hate this kind of marketing. It's absolutely misleading, and it's genuinely just a blatant fucking lie. So there is no way to justify this. It's literally a scam. And I will stand by this, and I'll call out every manufacturer for doing this shit, because it's absolutely infuriating. Most people don't really know what the difference will be there in terms of RAM, storage, kind of thing, especially when it's written this weirdly on a box. So yeah, either put more RAM or don't bother trying to convert storage, because with this logic, just to kind of elaborate on this a little bit further, on computers, we could take our 1 terabyte NVMe drive and convert it into RAM with this idiotic logic. But we don't do that for some reason. Care to guess why? So yeah, now let's finish this off after this disappointment of 4 gigabytes of additional RAM that doesn't actually exist. And we have 64 gigabytes of storage, or 60 gigs of storage, depending on how you want to look at it. Actually, now that I think about it, if you were to bloat up the 64 gigs of storage here, I'm kind of curious, where is it going to pull that 4 gigs from? Most certainly not storage. So, anything else worth mentioning here? Oh, there we go, there's our Android. Okay, so the only Go aspect here is the applications that we'll be using. You can see things like gallery is not the same as you have on a normal Android. This is the cut down version of it that supposedly, I guess, takes less RAM, which probably means spies less on you, gathers less data, which, this kind of logic, I guess that could be a good thing. Other than that, it actually looks pretty bog standard compared to the previous Go versions of Android. This doesn't look that bad. But you can see it's painfully, let's see, yeah, it's painfully slow. So when you open up applications, it just takes them a decent while to load up. So yeah, obviously this device is freshly set up, so it's running best. Right now, it's literally the best as it will ever run. So if you put some stuff on it, applications, it will slow down, it will run crappier. So something to keep in mind. This is right now as the best as you can experience this device. Now, last thing to mention will be the battery here, and we have a pretty decent battery size at 5000 milliamps. Now, because this is running some underpowered SoC right here, processor, it's most likely going to last a decent amount of time. This is apparently an octa-core processor. This is the A55. Oh yeah, this is the very low-powered one. So Cortex A55. So yeah, this is not going to be using that much energy. So the battery actually should last you a pretty decent time, most likely longer than most other Android devices, which might be actually a benefit if you're getting such a device, because maybe you're going hiking and you just need a phone, but you don't want to actually use it as you typically do. So just have a phone just in case. This will have a decent battery life. Now, if you really want to have a decent battery life with your phone, you probably could go with just like a flip phone or something like that, or older devices. These will have even better battery life compared to something that is running Android and has such a big display. But maybe you just want a big display. If you don't, you could go with something that is, much cheap, maybe not cheaper, but a little bit cheaper, I would say, but smaller display and not running Android. If you don't require it, then there is no purpose to have it, as it will drain your battery faster compared to something like the SIB something. Basically what all the devices were running. These phones can last you like a week or even longer. Even some like old devices from, I remember I used to have a Sony phone, Sony Xperia something. It was like a very cheap one, and this was running like the beginning of Android kind of OS. It was technically Android, but it was very crap, and the device itself was crap. But boy, if I would ever get lost in the wilderness, this device would literally last me up to a month. The battery there was absolutely insane for a device with a touchscreen, basically. So yeah, I don't think we're gonna be getting a month here, or possibly even a week, but this should be a pretty decent battery life anyway. for devices that come out nowadays. And if you want something that has more battery life, maybe you could go with like a flip phone or one of those like older Nokias. Those will have good ones. If you really want Android, this seems to be okay, the cheapest thing that you can probably get at the moment. And if you want, you can probably spend more and have a way better experience in terms of user experience when using the device. If you don't rely on it, if you're not getting this device because it's cheap and you just want something that is disposable, then I recommend maybe saving up a little bit more and getting some device that costs just a bit more. As when it comes down to like the cheapest smartphone that I can get, like this one, compared to something like mid-range, you go from $60-$70 to, for instance, $200, you will get just absolutely uncomparable performance difference. It's just going to be night and day in terms of how snappy and nice it is to use that device. But I want to point out, anything from 200 and over will be diminishing returns. When it comes down to low end to like low end to just like mid-range, these are the biggest improvements you can have. Anything above that just kind of gets lost. So if you want to save up money but you still want to have a good experience, I would recommend something like the CMF Phone 1. But like I said, that will be a more expensive device, and obviously this caters more towards just day-to-day use the phone, like a daily driver. I don't think this is something that you probably might get for your child. If you know they're clumsy, they break things, you probably won't care about losing $60-$70 on a phone like that. But this won't be a pleasant thing to use. So anyway, with that being said, hopefully you found this very helpful, and if you did, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.